Wyatt don't really love you. No, you just made him feel sorry for you.
This is Wyatt's affair, and mine.
He's too much of a gentleman to tell you the truth. But we aim to save Wyatt from making a fool of himself. Grab her, Pat.
He's going to marry me.
We'll see about that after we get you out of town.
Numerous young women set their caps for Wyatt Earp, the Marshal of Dodge City. But Wyatt, true to the memory of a youthful wife who died, was usually on guard against designing females. Then along came Miss Jenny Brandt, and on the Kansas frontier, men like Wyatt Earp believed in a code of chivalry which rendered them vulnerable.
We'll camp here. Rustle some wood and water. I want to talk to Jenny Brandt.
Jenny Brandt! Brother Dolph wants to talk to you.
There's no need to shout.
Oh, just the same, get out.
And here's Dodge City, about 5 miles. The gold shipments are transferred from the eastbound stages and freight wagons to the Santa Fe Railroad at Dodge. Jenny.
Yes, sir.
The marshal at Dodge is a bachelor and right good looking. Name of Earp.
No, you send somebody else.
I'm giving you the easiest part of this whole deal.
You gave my aunt and uncle an easy part back in Missouri. And where are they now?
On the run somewhere. They'll turn up.
If the Pinkertons don't catch them.
Oh.
I don't like any part of this. A gang of robbers posing as true light missionaries. And you trying to use me as a hoodlum.
No, Jenny, I only ask you to flirt with the Cowtown Marshal till you get a tip-off on the gold. If you're too holy for this job, I don't want you in the outfit. Go get your things and get out of camp.
But I paid you. Didn't you promise Uncle Late that you'd see me through to California?
We need money. I'm bossing this outfit, and I can't let you get away with defying me. So you leave camp.
Way out here in the middle of Kansas?
It's your own choosing.
I suppose so. All right, I'll do what you say.
That's my girl. Oh, Jenny, if you'd only see eye to eye with me on...
No. I'm to make eyes at the marshal. Isn't that the deal?
Yes, that's the deal.
Hi, Wyatt.
Oh, howdy, Hal.
So you check on the wagon trains?
Yeah, there's one I wanted to ask you about.
Well, the Army issued orders they want all the settlers stopped from heading west.
These folks aren't settlers, Wyatt. They're missionaries.
The Cheyenne and the Apache aren't going to make allowances for that, Hal. You better ride out there and tell them to stay in camp.
They tell me on the trail these folks are known as new lighters.
No, not new lighters. They're called true lighters. I'll ride out there.
Hey, where are they?
About 3 or 4 miles east.
Right.
Thanks, Wyatt.
Our visit to this community is one that I have planned for a long, long time. And you, as brothers and sisters...
Brother Dolph, we have a visitor.
Peace, brother.
Howdy. I'm Marshal Wyatt Earp from Dodge City.
Bless you, brother. I'm Brother Dolph. This is Brother William, Brother Jonas, Brother Ralph, Brother Arthur, Sister Lucy.
How do you do?
What can we do for you, Mr. Earp?
Well, sir, I've had a request from the Army to hold all outfits westbound. The Indians have been raiding the Utah and California passage.
Will we be delayed long?
Well, I have no idea, sir.
Well, we'll have to vote on the matter. Our word calls for...
Let me go. Let me go.
What's all that about?
An erring sister, Marshal. She's to be whipped and expelled from camp.
She has to be whipped?
Yes.
Hold it.
Now, Brother Earp, you mustn't interfere.
Look, you can expel a girl, but you're not going to whip her.
Brother Dolph, I'll do penance, but you can't expel me. Not out here in this wilderness.
Silence. The true light has turned from you. Let her go. Let her go.
Now, you come in town with me. You hit your horse, that buggy.
No, she can walk.
Whipping is an assault and battery charge in this state. You all want to go to jail?
Please, Marshal. Never mind the buggy. I can walk.
No. I'll give you 2 minutes.
Our word does not allow us to quarrel with the law. Hitch the buggy.
Thank you. I'll send your buggy back later. What's your name?
I'm Jenny Brandt.
How'd you get mixed up with those people?
My aunt and uncle were true lighters in Missouri.
Oh. They dead?
All the folks I had.
Well, then Brother Doff and those others were supposed to take care of you, huh? How old are you?
22.
Oh, I thought you might not be of age and the true lighters would have a guardianship. Well, maybe they'll forgive you and take you back.
I despise them. I'll never go back.
Well, then I'll find you a place to stay in town and try and find you a good job.
Why should you bother?
Well, that's part of my job. You know, you have a wonderful face. You're just about the prettiest stranded traveler we've had in these parts in a long time. Of course, that Mother Hubbard and that bonnet don't help any.
I could take the bonnet off. There. How would you like it fixed?
Oh, kind of rolled up at the back of your head there. Wait a minute, it's none of my business how you fix it.
Yes, it is. I belong to you, don't I? Is this what you mean?
Yes, and that'll look fine. That remark that you made about belonging to me, that's right strange. It's a true lighter's joke, huh?
No, Mr. Irvin. If you'd picked up a stray calf back there, it'd belong to you, wouldn't it?
Not if it was branded.
I don't recollect any brand on me.
Yeah. It's a nice, sunny day, Miss Jenny, and yonder over there, that's Dodge City. Giddy up, boy. Oh. Now, we'll go in here and see Mayor Kelly. I'm sure he can find you a decent job.
Anything you say.
Howdy, Marshal. Remember me?
Well, howdy, Sheriff. Miss Brandt, I present Sheriff Masterson.
How do you do?
How do you do?
Oh, I think I'm going to like it here.
I hope so.
We'll see you later, Mr. Masterson.
The Dodge Hotel's looking for a bookkeeper. Hold on. Here's a note from Miss Francie Morgan. She wants a seamstress for her millinery shop.
Can you sew?
Yes, pretty well.
Oh, you'll like Miss Francie. A fine lady.
I think it'd be a good idea.
All right. But you come with me. Oh, thank you, Mayor. You've been so kind.
It is my pleasure, young lady.
I like your friends.
Well, thank you, Miss Jenny. I kind of like them, too.
Oh, hello, Bat. Anything new?
Yeah. Who's that new girl Wyatt's toting around?
Oh, you mean Miss Jenny Brandt?
Yeah.
Why, she's,
She's who?
well, she's... What?
Well, who is she?
Well, she belonged to something called the True Lighters. Bad cess to 'em. They were gonna flog her with a bullwhip.
Oh, and Wyatt came to the rescue, huh?
And you should have marked the way she looked at Wyatt. Love, my boy, love.
Oh, so that's the deal, huh?
And why not? Wyatt should be taking himself a wife.
Marry her? What does he know about her?
Well, do you know anything against Miss Jenny?
Not yet. But you know Wyatt when it comes to women. They're all angels. Look, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that girl, but what if there was?
Well, you'd have to prove it to me in black and white.
All right. Well, listen here now, you just quit your mooning. You're mayor of Dodge City, not Dublin, Ireland.
Now, see here, Bat.
Aaron Gobra.
This is our very latest spring model, Mr. Earp. Isn't it beautiful? Well, I'm sure she's ready by now. I'll just see. Need any help, dear?
Oh, thanks. I can manage.
Oh, it's beautiful, just beautiful. Oh, my dear, she is beautiful, and I do need her so.
I certainly hope she'll fill the job.
Oh, I'm sure of it. And I'll speak to Mrs. Elbert about a room in our rooming house.
That's very kind of you.
Oh, that poor child, what she must have gone through with those dreadful people.
Well, here I am.
Dear, it is so becoming.
What do you think, Mr. Earp?
Well, you just can't beat Miss Franzi for pretty hats and pretty dresses.
Oh. Now, do you see why we love Mr. Earp?
Yes, I do. Miss Morgan is way behind in the shop, so I'll start work. Will you take me to dinner?
Jenny.
Oh, well, you see, Miss Franzi, it's part of the agreement. I'm her, I'm her business advisor.
Oh.
I'll see you at 7 o'clock.
7.
Well, busy hands make busy people.
Thanks for a lovely evening, Marshal.
It was my pleasure.
You know, I think I'm falling in love with you.
You're what?
In fact, I'm already in love with you.
Miss Jenny, didn't your folks ever tell you that a girl usually thinks she's in love with a half a dozen men before the real thing happens?
Yes, and I was also taught not to act like a bold hussy. But this is real.
Miss Jenny, you're very lovely. But I'm a public officer, and this is a public street.
That means you're not in love with me.
I came along and tried to help you out of a bad situation. I get paid for looking after travelers. Now, Miss Franzi's probably peeking out of that window right now. You better skedaddle inside.
Yes, sir.
This is a gossipy town. A girl can't afford to get herself talked about. Good night, Miss Jenny.
Good night, Marshal.
Morning.
You get out of here. Miss Morgan will be back from the bank any minute.
I sent you after something.
There hasn't been time.
We was watching you last night.
I see.
Maybe you figured to run out on us and join up with Mr. Earp.
Maybe.
Well, it won't work. I'd have to tell him all about you.
Oh, Dolph, please.
You get that information. Get it today.
If I do, will you promise not
I
to...
promise nothing. You come back to camp with that gold shipment time. You'll be an outlaw, same as the rest of us. Then we'll see if the great Marshal Earp can...
Wait. I'll send you the gold layout, but I'm not coming back to camp. Not ever.
Why, you...
Hold it. You're short in this town, Brother Dolph. Now, you get out of Dodge and stay out.
Who you getting so tough with?
Dolph, Wyatt, please, stop it. Dolph was just trying to get me to go back to camp.
Stay out of this, Jenny. Now, you keep away from her, you understand?
Peace, brother. If Jenny set herself against the word, I can't stop her. We had to give her a chance to repent.
Well, you just keep away from her.
Oh, my goodness. What happened? What's the matter?
Oh, just a slight misunderstanding, Miss Franzi.
You'll have to talk to Wyatt.
Be better if you did.
The whole town's talking. If a man gets a girl talked about, by golly, he's compromised her. And to protect that girl's honor, it means only one thing: marriage.
Oh, that's true.
And the only question is, do you love her enough to marry her, or don't you?
Well, I'm not sure.
Well, then you're really not in love with her.
Not sure.
The The only decent thing to do is persuade Miss Jenny to leave Dodge. Out here, you know, folks don't tolerate a man trifling with a decent girl's affections. You know that.
Oh, yes, sir, Sheriff. Say, do you think it might be all right if I lend Miss Jenny enough money to get back to Missouri?
No. Mary Kelly and I'll handle that.
Oh. Well, you know, Mr. Masterson, there's just one little thing wrong with all of this.
Wrong?
You see, you're assuming Miss Jenny's in love with me and wants to marry me.
Well, what girl wouldn't?
Oh, thousands and thousands, Sheriff. I'm just not the lady killer that you are. But I will have a nice long talk with Miss Jenny. But you and Mayor Kelly stay out of it, you understand? You know, I kind of wish Miss Jenny really wanted to marry me.
What?
So, by the way, how's everything with you?
Oh.
Hi. Can I join the picnic?
Oh, of course. I haven't much left, though. One hard-boiled egg and a pickle.
I guess I ought to be over there helping the boys unload the gold.
Oh, is that what it is?
Yeah, it's a Wells Fargo shipment from California.
Are you hungry? We can go back to the boarding house and I'll fix you a real lunch.
Oh, no, thanks. I've had lunch. Jenny,
This is wrong, you know. A lot of people saw you and Dolph and me.
Yeah, I guess so.
Miss Morgan says I'm to stop tagging after you. She's right. You just forget about last night. I acted silly.
Were you acting?
No, I wasn't acting. I meant it. You've been kind to me. That's never happened before. I am in love with you, and I always will be, a little. But I promise to stop tagging after you. I'll nod when we meet and say, "Hello, Marshal Earp," and you say, "Howdy, Miss Brandt." That'll fix everything, huh?
You're still in some kind of trouble. It has something to do with Brother Dolph and those people out there at the camp, hasn't it?
Thanks, Marshal, but you run along and help with the gold. Train won't wait.
We don't ship until 7:40 tomorrow morning. Dolph has some hold over you. Now, what is it?
If I thought you loved me, I'm sorry. It's Marshal Earp and Miss Brandt.
I still think you ought to tell me the whole truth.
A girl would be stupid to do that until after the wedding. Some girls don't tell even then. But I would. After the wedding.
Is that a proposal? You are a strange little character. I thank you for the compliment. So long, Jenny.
That was some meeting. That was the night the sheriff came in right in the middle of the meeting.
Note from Jenny, boss.
Yeah. Gold shipment will be loaded on 7:40 Express tomorrow morning. I think I can fix it so Wyatt's friends will hustle me out of Dodge. He'll probably go after us, leaving only his deputies, Jenny.
I told you she'd come around to her senses.
About time. Well, we'll wear cowhand clothes and masks. If Jenny can send Earp on a wild goose chase, this ought to be a real easy job.
That's the way the thing stands.
Mr. Kelly, I thought you and Sheriff Masterson should be the first to know. Wyatt has asked me to marry him.
Oh, no.
Well, don't you go mushy-headed on me. You pressured Wyatt into this.
Why don't you ask Wyatt what happened?
Well, no use asking him. Well, congratulations, Miss whoever you are.
Oh, I have a past.
Yeah.
But I told Wyatt the whole story, and he said it didn't matter.
But, Miss...
Good day, gentlemen.
Well,
oh, the poor darling. For the past. For the past. What can we do?
well, she's leaving Dodge with us.
You mean kidnapping? Abduction?
No, use your head. Well, I'm sheriff of Ford County. We're only arresting her as a witness in a case of Topeka.
Good. But when?
Tomorrow morning, early. Wyatt does night patrol and sleeps late.
Oh, thank you. Oh, Mr. Earp, they've arrested Jenny and taken her away.
Well, just sit down, Miss Fonzie, and relax. Now tell me, who arrested her?
That and Jim Kelly.
Oh, look, don't worry about it. We'll get her back. Now, Hal, take one of the boys and go after him. Did Mr. Masterson say where they were headed?
Topeka. She's a witness. Oh, the poor child.
Topeka Trail, go on.
Well, what about
Never mind about that. The boys and I will take care of it.
All right.
Oh, imagine arresting a nice girl like Jenny.
Just relax, Jenny. Just relax. We'll get her back. Now, here, have some coffee.
Oh, no, I couldn't take a thing. Thank you.
Get away from that cart! You heard you, man! Hold it! He's mine!
Sheriff Masterson, you were legally correct to arrest a witness, but I think it was a fool's stunt.
Well, the girl was in cahoots with the phony True Lighters.
No, she wasn't. She was working for me all the time. Now, Miss Jenny, there's a $500 reward for anyone helping to protect a Wells Fargo shipment.
No. I won't take it. Arrest me.
All right, well, just be patient. Now, Mr. Masterson, if you knew anything about genuine True Lighters, you would have spotted Brother Doff. You see, a real True Lighter doesn't believe in violence. Now, Miss Jenny, you come with me.
Charlie?
Thank you.
Why are you turning me loose with $500?
Well, you'll kind of need the money to get a fresh start back in Missouri. Miss Jeannie, there's something I want you to believe. I'll always think of you a little.
Why?
Well, because you tried so hard to fall in love with me, and because it was really you who took me off to the holdup.
How?
You kind of got desperate and asked me to marry you. And, you see, the True Lighters, they don't believe in marriage.
What?
Goodbye, man. Aren't you satisfied? Your brother's in jail. Your gentleman friend is gunning for me.
Lance will kill you.
No, he won't. He's not that fast.
Then I'll do it. Right now.
If ever a woman deserved punishment, it's you. You put your own brother in jail. You egg Lance into gunning me. One of might get hanged, the other might get killed, and you don't care.
You're scared of Lance?
No. I may have to shoot him. If I do, I want you to see it. A certain story once told of 3 gunfighters bullying a western town while the gallant sheriff had to fight them alone. How the old-timers of Wichita, Abilene, and Dodge City must have laughed at such a yarn. Frontier towns in the 70s were settled by many veterans of Union and Confederate battles, veterans who still knew how to fight. So in 1878, when a hoodlum outfit led by Dan Burden tried to rob a bank in Dodge City while Marshal Wyatt Earp and his deputies were away,
Well, had a little trouble in town.
Yeah, I see. You send for the doc?
Yes, Marshal.
He'll bring a wagon, huh? Good work, Mayor.
Well, one back there, and this one here's dead. They never learn.
Any of your people get hurt?
I think he wounded Chris Allen, the cashier. A couple of the boys got nicked, but nothing bad.
Who are you?
Never mind that. You gonna let me bleed to death?
Well, I wouldn't worry about it. Doc will plug you up. Well, you were coming back from turning in some prisoners to the Army. We heard the shooting. These hoodlums must be amateurs.
Well, they shot pretty wild. But Jesse James and Cole Younger wouldn't have tried what they did. First thing I learned in the Army was never to ride into a hostile town in broad daylight.
Mr. Allen got hit in the arm, but he claims 2 scalps with that sawed-off shotgun of his.
Well, the town put up a real good fight, and I'm proud of him. Oh, and Mayor Kelly is a cinch for re-election.
I'd be ashamed to mention this. We was firing from behind doors and windows, like shooting ducks on a pond.
Well, I wouldn't be too modest about it, Your Honor. Let's see if I can identify any of them.
Lance, what happened?
They got all shot up. Some of them scattered north and west. Your brother...
Danny didn't pull it off?
A fool idea in the first place, Marie.
Was it?
I told you and I told Danny. A lot of men with guns in that town.
Danny must have bungled it. Earp and his deputies weren't even there. All he had to do was bluff out a bunch of storekeepers.
They didn't bluff easy. I'll drift into Dodge tonight and find out just what happened.
No. No, I've got a better idea.
What? What are you aiming to do?
You just drift into town tonight, maybe I'll tell you.
Danny said to keep you out of it.
Are you going by what Danny said or by what I say?
Oh, please, hon, what can you do in Dodge?
A lot more than Danny and those numbskulls did. Now, you just lie low here. Come into Dodge tonight. Are you my foreman or aren't you?
All right. You're the boss.
Remember that.
Sit down, Mr. Burden.
That ain't my name.
Dan Burden's your name. You got a sister named Marie. Got a small cattle spread over near Ingalls. Mr. Bill Tillman's told me about you. You and your sister aren't exactly unknown around here.
Who's been talking?
None of your business. Any of those wounded men make a statement?
No, sir.
All right, Hal, you telegraphed the sheriff over at Ingalls asking to please arrest Miss Marie Burden. Conspiracy to rob a bank.
Right. You leave my sister out of this. She didn't know nothing about it.
But she had a grudge against the Union Bank, didn't she? 8 months ago, she sold some mortgaged cattle. The bank made her pay up. Now, who bosses the ranch, you or Marie?
I do.
Why did she sign this application for a loan? Why didn't you co-sign?
I don't have to answer your fool questions.
Sit down.
You arrest Marie and Lance will gun you.
Oh? And who is Lance?
Lance Morfitt, that's who. He's engaged to my sister.
Lance Morfitt, huh? It seems I recall a gentleman by that name.
I'll get better acquainted, you bother my sister.
All right, Mr. Burden, we'll put you back in your cell.
What about Marie?
I'll have a little talk with her. My hunch may be wrong, but I think she's involved in the robbery.
Lance will kill you.
Mr. Burden, he can try. Won't be the first time it's been tried.
One moment, please. Who is it?
Marshal Earp.
Oh, good. You interested in bedrooms?
No, I'm just careful. I'm awful glad you came to town, Miss Burden. I wasted money sending an arrest order for you.
Arrest me? But what on earth for?
Conspiracy to rob a bank.
Oh, now. Surely you must be joking.
Your brother's in jail. He led the attempted holdup.
Yes, I know. Danny is a wild, crazy boy. I've had to get him out of one scrape after another. How much is it going to be this time?
Nothing to bother about.
You mean there's some other way?
I mean, the trial is set for tomorrow.
But, the last time Danny got into trouble, I gave the marshal $500 and, it was all arranged.
Hmm. Well, Miss Burden, we don't do that here.
Oh. Oh, I see. Well, could I trouble you, please, to take a message to Danny?
No trouble.
Thank you very much. I'll write it. It'll just take a moment. Just a few lines to let poor Danny know that I'm going to hire him a lawyer. It'll cheer him up. Thank you very, very much.
Al, come on in here, will you? My deputy.
But you said that you would take it.
I will. But you're under arrest, and Hal will have to stay here.
Oh. What are you doing?
We read all messages to prisoners.
You give that back.
Easy, ma'am, easy, easy.
He's got no right to... I just offered you my promissory note in hopes you'd make things comfortable for Danny.
You trying to bribe Wyatt?
Bribe? Oh, no. That's against the law.
Miss Burden is very upset about her brother. I'm going to hold her as a material witness. She isn't to leave this apartment.
You gonna leave him in here with me alone?
Well, Miss Burden, my room's across the hall. You can leave this door open, and Hal can camp in my room if that makes you feel any better.
Yes, it most certainly will.
All right. Hal, here's my key. I'm going to go over and question those prisoners again. You keep an eye on her until I get back.
Yes, sir.
Now, wait a minute. I'm gonna need a lawyer for Danny and me.
Well, I'll ask Judge Tobin to assign one.
And how much will that cost?
Nothing. I'll see you later.
I was just acting foolish. If you want to stay here in the parlor, it's all right.
Thanks a lot, ma'am. Wyatt said to use his room. You make yourself comfortable, Miss Burden.
Comfortable with my poor brother in jail? Oh, please, won't you help me? I'd be mighty grateful for some help right now.
Your brother tried to rob a bank. 2 of his men were killed. Mr. Allen was hurt.
Forget it.
Howdy, Judge. Mr. Kelly. prisoners won't talk.
Wyatt, we understand you're holding Burden's sister.
That's right.
Do you think she was involved?
I think she planned the whole deal and talked her stupid brother into it.
Well, can you prove that?
No, sir, not yet.
As soon as I appoint a lawyer, he'll be at me with a writ of habeas corpus.
She could sue the city for false
But why
arrest.
don't you just say what you came here to say?
Well...
No pretty woman is ever anything but an angel.
Before a jury, she is.
Now, let's be practical. We have an unbeatable case against Burden and his men. Why drag his sister into it?
Because I feel sorry for Dan Burden and all those cowhands in there. Why should they go to prison when Marie, who probably planned the whole thing, gets off scot-free just because she's a woman?
Well, if you make her co-defendant, they may be all acquitted.
Oh, come on.
I don't think they'll all be acquitted, but the jury'd only give them a year or two, and they sure wouldn't convict the woman.
Well, look, just say the word and I'll turn her loose.
Well, I really think that's the wise course.
The judge wants to make an example out of the rest of them, Wyatt. They ought to get 10 years, the maximum.
I'll turn her loose. But she planned that robbery just to spite the bank.
What's the matter?
I can't get my breath. It's my heart. I've had trouble before.
Here, let me help you.
No. Get the doctor. Oh, please.
All right, I'll get Dr. McCarty. Wyatt, she's having a heart attack or something. I'm going for Dr. McCarty.
Heart attack?
Just stay out of this.
Hear what he said? Somebody's got a heart attack. Well, I don't know. It could be serious, you know.
No heart attack, huh?
You let my brother out of jail or I'll fix you.
You're the one that belongs in jail. Now, you go on back to your room and stay there.
I told you! Let me go! Let me go!
Shut up!
Let me go! Help! Help!
Get out of here!
Let me go! Help! Help!
You stop it!
No!
Now, it's all right. You're safe now. And you, a deacon of the church. Go get Judge Tobin. Now, don't cry. Don't. It only makes things worse. Yes, I will. Now, just...
And then he said if I would, he'd let my brother escape from jail, and then he tried to tear my dress. It was horrible.
There. No reason to carry on. We'll get to the straight of this.
What have you got to say?
I'm waiting for Hal.
The 3 witnesses saw you struggling with her in your room.
Judge, I warned you about her.
We're trying to believe you, but...
I heard about the trick she pulled on you. She ought to be run out of town.
You would say that. You're no better than he is. Oh, where's my lawyer? Please, I want to see my lawyer.
I've met a lot of low-down women in my time, but you are...
That'll do.
What's your temper? Sorry.
Are you going to let them lie out of this? Look at my dress. Look at the bruises on my wrist. Isn't there one gentleman left in this town?
Now, Miss Burden, you're a bit hysterical. You said you had a heart attack and fainted. I suggest you go into the bedroom and lie down. The doctor will be here in a few minutes.
You'd better get here soon. I may want him to testify.
Al, where was she when you went to get Doc McCarty?
Right there on the floor. I thought she was dying.
You tell him why the door to my room happened to be open.
Wyatt told me to wait in his room and watch her. Shall I tell him what she said to me?
No. They can believe us or fire us. I told you it was a frame-up.
We believe you, but hang it all, Wyatt, you know how people will be talking.
Yeah, I know.
I don't care about the talk. I want that woman out of town as quick as possible.
She ought to be tried with the rest. Take it easy, Hal. Now, we promised her a lawyer. Maybe he'll persuade her to leave. Meantime, we'll make another try at getting Dan Burton to tell the truth.
Sit down. You're still stubborn and stupid. You ain't gonna turn me against my sister.
You love your sister?
Of course I do.
She's trying to frame Hal and me.
I wouldn't put anything past you two.
The court is appointing a lawyer to defend you.
Sure. Maria'd see to that.
Well, it's not gonna help. You're gonna get the limit.
Well, Maria's in the clear. I'm satisfied.
What about Lance Morfin?
What about him?
Well, didn't you say he was coming into Dodge to gun me?
Only if you arrest Marie.
She's arrested.
Then Lance will get you.
What if I get him?
Don't be a fool. Why, give him a full draw and shoot him in both eyes. Maybe. Maybe not.
Look, hasn't your sister done enough harm? Now, Lance is a nice young fellow. Why should she want to add his scalp to her belt?
Well, there's nothing I can do about it.
Yes, there is. I want you to ask your sister to leave town and take Morfett with her.
Oh, you don't know Marie.
No, I know her. But I hate to use the words that describe her.
She's always been like that. Ever since I was a kid. She gets a grudge and nothing will stop her. She keeps on nagging until... She'll send Lance after you. That's his lookout.
Mr. Burton, if I have to hurt Morfett, I'm going to send your sister to prison.
How?
Inciting anyone to gun an officer is a penitentiary offense.
We can't prove it that she put you up to the bank robbery. But we can sure prove it if she sends Lance after Wyatt. Well, all right. I'll talk to her.
Good. We'll take him over to the hotel.
I'll get his hat.
Come on.
Better check those guns, Sonny. Marshal Earp catch you wearing them, it's 3 days in jail.
You'll catch me wearing them. Give me another one.
Remember now, his name is Lance Morfett. You'll find him in one of the saloons. Just tell him to meet me at the hotel after he finishes his business. He'll understand. Dan, were you hit bad?
No, not bad.
It's going to be all right. I talked to a lawyer. I have a wonderful idea for getting you off.
Yeah? How?
Not with them in the room. I was just starting for the jail. Why did they bring you here?
We'll wait outside.
Well, how are you going to get me off?
We blame it on Pete Brown and the others who got killed. They forced you to join in the holdup. Punky will testify to the same thing.
I knew you'd do it. Lots of times you got me into trouble, but you always got me out.
Why, sure. Why did they bring you here? What's the trick?
Oh, it's no trick. Herb just doesn't want Lance gunning for him.
Oh.
He says if you sick Lance on him, you can go to prison. Something about exciting or inciting.
Why, sure. I know that. You think I'd be so stupid.
Well, you were sore at Earp and Hal, and you accused him of...
Just play acting, Dan.
Oh, I see. Just making trouble for the Johnny Laws, huh?
Why, sure. I almost got them both fired. It's all settled, gentlemen. You may come right in. You can breathe easy now, Mr. Earp. Lance is back on the ranch at Ingalls.
Yeah, he ain't gonna gun you.
Oh, that's a relief. Hal, we better take Mr. Burden back to jail.
Sure. Marie's gonna get me off. She's got a real slick idea.
Dan.
Yeah, that's right. Well, see you in court, Marie.
Well?
I suppose you had to lie about it. Just couldn't help yourself.
Am I under arrest again?
No.
Then I see no reason why I have to entertain you. The door is open.
Isn't that Lance Morford down there?
Why don't you go down and ask him? You scared?
Your brother Dan's gonna go to prison. You sent him out of here thinking you had some bright legal trick that would save him.
I might have.
That fella down there wants to marry you. You urged me to go down there and kill him.
He'll kill you. If he doesn't, I will.
Oh? With this?
I can get another one.
No, you'll be in prison.
Lance might have something to say about that.
All right, so he outdraws me. He shot a peace officer.
We can run.
Not far enough or fast enough.
I still say you're scared.
You know, if ever a woman deserved punishment, it's you. I'm gonna probably have to hurt him. And if that happens, I certainly want you to see it. Mr. Morford, you draw on me and you'll get hurt. Miss Burden will go to prison.
What's she got to do with it?
She incited you to attack the peace officer. That's a felony. I hate to say this, but I kind of hope you do go for your gun. Miss Burden ought to be in prison.
Shoot him! He can't draw! Shoot him! That's close enough! Shoot! Shoot him! Oh!
You hoodlum.
You get out of town. Custer and 264 officers and men were slaughtered. 2 years later, the American press and public were still arguing about the Custer tragedy. The general's enemies called him a glory hunter who unknowingly led the 7th Cavalry into a massacre. The general's friends said he was betrayed by subordinate officers. Time has proved both theories false. But in the bitterness of the dispute, General Custer had only one ardent champion, his widow.
You remain standing, gentlemen. Will you come in, please, Mrs. Custer?
Thank you, Colonel Benteen. Gentlemen, please do make yourselves comfortable. I know all of you by your first names, so we needn't be strangers now. General Sheridan has just telegraphed me. He says that Colonel Reno must be granted an official court of inquiry. court will be held in Chicago. I assume that all of you will be witnesses. Am I correct, Colonel Benteen?
That's right, ma'am. And I can assure you that General Custer's memory will be respected by every man in this room. Oh, we had our differences, but it was always give and take. We despise Reno. None of us has spoken to him socially these years.
Then you've already discussed... I mean, you'll say nothing against Colonel Reno that might reflect on General Custer.
Oh, no.
Or the regiment.
Here. Mrs. Custer, you will always have our love and loyalty.
Thank you. Thank you. This is most kind. I won't detain you longer.
That will be all, gentlemen.
Don't worry, Mrs. Custer. You and the 7th have suffered long enough.
Well, now, that's settled.
They faced it as I prayed they would. But there's still this fellow Hendon.
Chris Hendon? What's he pestering you about?
Just came yesterday. He wants money, I think. I'm supposed to meet him in Dodge City.
This is nonsense. I'll burn the thing.
No, please. He was one of Reno's civilian scouts. He'll be called to testify.
Well, let him testify.
But, Colonel, he could ruin us all. He's a civilian, and the newspapers would be eager to print any lies he told.
Oh, Betty, you're carrying this thing too far. Oh, yes. Now, I've never had any occasion to say this before, but you can't be bothered by every blackmailing scamp or rascal who writes you a letter. I remember Hendon. I think he bolted before Reno made the charge that day. I certainly don't recall seeing him on the hill when we stopped Reno from running away.
Well, he could say he was with General Custer. He could say anything.
All right. Now, Wyatt Earp, the marshal at Dodge, is a good friend of mine. I'll telegraph him to arrest Hendon.
No, Colonel, I beg of you. If we anger the man, he'll... All right, I'll just ignore him. Your first idea is best. Let him testify.
Good. Well, I must be running along. But Mrs. Benteen and I will see you at dinner, eh?
Oh, yes, of course.
And put a match to this and forget it.
He was a show-off, a glory hunter. I charge him with full responsibility for our defeat.
If you ask me, he didn't die like a hero.
I think he was just as big a coward as Reno.
The Army can't cover it up forever. Somebody will tell the real truth.
Miss Custer?
Sergeant Turner, Corporal Mills.
Mrs. Custer?
Is Mr. Hendon in Dodge City?
Yes, he is. He's still hanging around the saloons. Dragging around town what he could tell if he had a mind to. You just say the word, Mrs. Custer. We'll go back to Dodge. Yeah, Hendon won't bother you no more, Mrs. Custer.
We can't do anything like that. How much longer will you men be on furlough?
11 days.
I must talk to Hendon. It's the only way, Sergeant. Will you and Corporal Mills drive me to Dodge City?
Well, of course, but shouldn't you ask Colonel Benteen?
No. We must start at once. And please say nothing to Colonel Benteen or to anyone else.
All right.
Rent a good team and carriage from the Sutler. I'll meet you at the North Gate in half an hour.
We'll be there, Mrs. Custer.
Oh, Wyatt. Looking for you. Telegram from Colonel Benteen at the fort. Operator at the depot brought it over himself. Said it was extra urgent.
Now, the Army wants 2 soldiers named Mills and Turner arrested. They're on furlough wearing civilian clothes. The rest of it's just a description of the men. Now, you pull a deputy off patrol and do just what the colonel says. You sure saved my neck in that dough knife business, remember?
Sure do. We'll ring out the town.
Somebody chasing you?
Yeah, a couple of soldiers. They're trying to kill me. I want them arrested.
Mills and Turner?
Yeah. How'd you know?
The Army wants them arrested, too. What's your name?
Hendon. Chris Hendon. I used to be a civilian scout for Reno. Those troopers was in the same outfit. 7th Cavalry.
Put that gun on the desk.
Gun? Oh, sure. I had to carry it, Marshal. My life's in danger.
Why?
Just an old grudge between them and me. I thought they'd forget about it, but suddenly like I turned around in the street and there they was, following me.
Hmm. Well, my deputies are looking for him now. This will make it easier. Come on.
Oh, no.
Why not?
I don't go wandering around out there and get plugged from some doorway.
Mr. Hennon, you asked me to protect you. Now, the easiest way to do that is to try and arrest those 2 soldiers quick. I'll get my hat. Let's move.
Not me.
Well, it looks like you got the right men.
We're tailing somebody halfway down the block.
That's them. That's Mills and that's Turner. I want to charge them with an attempt to commit murder.
Were they packing guns?
No, sir.
Colonel Benteen wired a request to hold you for the Army. You got any idea why the Colonel wants you?
No, sir.
Lock him up.
Come on, move.
Move!
Come on.
What about my charges against them?
Tell it to the Army. Now, you check this gun or get out of town. If you take my advice, you'll get out of town. You may run into some more soldiers.
That what you call police protection? What are you, in cahoots with the Army?
I don't think I like you, Mr. Hendon. You stay in this town, you be ready to protect yourself. Now, quit wasting my time.
There's a lady at the Dodge House. She said she's got to see you right away.
Who's the lady?
It's a Mrs. Elizabeth Bacon. She wouldn't tell me what it was about, but she acted awful worried.
All right. Did you get a good look at that fella?
Yes, sir.
His name is Chris Hennon. I want you to keep an eye on him.
Horse thief or cow rustler?
2 soldiers were after him. They usually got a good nose for a skunk. Go on.
Sergeant Turner?
No, ma'am, Marshal Earp.
Oh. One moment.
My deputies gave me your message, Mrs. Bacon.
Come in.
Thank you.
I used my maiden name to register. My married name is Custer. Mrs. George Armstrong Custer.
Mrs. Custer?
That doesn't surprise you.
No, ma'am, I've seen your picture.
Mr. Earp, 2 soldier friends of mine have disappeared. I'm afraid that something might have happened to them.
Sergeant Turner and Corporal Mills?
Yes. Have you seen them?
They're being held for the Army. Colonel Benteen's request.
You put them in jail? Oh, that's nonsense. Colonel Benteen has no right to. I must ask that you release Turner and Mills at once.
I'm sorry, but I can't do that, ma'am.
Very well. Then I shall have to employ a lawyer. Could you recommend one? Mr. Earp, lawyer's name, please.
Well, Mrs. Custer, that would be a waste of money. I can hold those soldiers for 24 hours, even against a writ of habeas corpus.
Marshal, I know a little about law. What charge has Colonel Benteen lodged against them?
I have a charge of my own, ma'am.
Indeed. What law did they break?
They assaulted a Mr. Chris Hendon.
Hendon? No, they promised me they wouldn't. Did they injure Mr. Hendon?
Not much, no. Is Mr. Hendon a friend of yours?
I've never met the man. Why do you ask?
Well, you seem very concerned about Mr. Hendon's health, and you asked the soldiers not to hurt him.
Marshal, is this a police interrogation?
Mrs. Custer, Mr. Hendon claims to have been a civilian scout with Reno. Colonel Benteen and I went through a rather bad time together right after the Little Bighorn fight. An Indian agent tried to bribe some runaway soldiers into telling lies about Colonel Benteen and the 7th Cavalry.
Are you suggesting Mr. Hendon might try to blackmail me?
He might try it, yes.
How absurd. General Custer needs no defense. You're being rather impertinent, aren't you?
Well, I don't mean it that way, Mrs. Custer. I'd like to help you.
All right, help me. Turn those men loose and forget your suspicions of Mr. Hendon.
Well, I can't do that, ma'am.
Good day, Mr. Earp.
I know the torment that you've been living through. People have lied so much about General Custer, you don't know where the next attack is coming from. Well, you've got me stubborn. I'm going to help you in spite of yourself. Oh, Hal. I told Ted to watch Mr. Hendon. Have you seen him?
Yeah, Hendon's in the Long Branch. Ted's waiting up the street.
Yeah, we'll go pull Ted off. I want both of you to watch the hotel, front and back. If Mr. Hendon goes inside, you send for me. If he leaves, don't wait for me, arrest him.
Right.
I just had a talk with Mrs. Custer. She got worried when you didn't check in and sent for me. I had to tell her the truth.
All right.
Now, Colonel Benteen will be here for you in a couple of hours. Can either one of you persuade Mrs. Custer not to pay off to Hendon?
We don't know what you're talking about, Earp.
I think you know what I'm talking about. Maybe you'll answer me one question, though. Has Mrs. Custer ever heard what the Indians have to say about the fight at the Little Bighorn?
After the massacre at Little Bighorn, she can't stand the sight of Injuns.
Well, I know a Cheyenne chief that was there. Chief Wolfhead. Mrs. Custer would...
Hendon just now went into the hotel.
Let's go.
You'd better leave town at once.
Oh, well, I want to live the same as anybody else. That's why I had to come to you for help. I can get a fresh start now in Mexico.
Remember your agreement to stay there.
Oh, well, a deal is a deal. Good luck, Mrs. Custer.
Hold it!
Mr. Clark, I want you to search this man. Thank you. Mr. Clark, I want you to remember this. I may need you to testify. Throw some water on, throw him in jail.
Right. Get some water, will you?
You can't be serious.
Mr. Hendon asked Mrs. Custer for money, and she gave it to him. Look, there's the evidence. Now, don't you want to book Hendon for extortion instead of blackmail?
He mustn't be booked at all. That would involve her, the regiment, Sherman, Sheridan, even Grant.
If Mrs. Custer will do what I suggest.
That is the most complete fool nonsense I've ever heard. General Custer's widow meeting with a Cheyenne renegade.
Wolfhead is a brave chief, and you know it.
Oh,
now listen to me. This poor woman is going to be haunted by liars the rest of her life. She needs to hear the truth just once.
From Wolfhead?
He at least saw General Custer die. You weren't on that hill. You were kept busy saving your own command in Reno's. On a bluff 3 miles away, isn't that right? Well, then will you please go ask Mrs. Custer?
All right. I'll ask her. I'll try. But she's liable to come marching in here and make you sorry I did.
The perils of war, Colonel. Come in.
Mr. Earp, I will not be forced into a ridiculous gesture. Chief Wolfhead. A lying, filthy savage. One of the fiends who killed my husband and his men.
All right.
I must also demand that you drop your charges against Mr. Hendon.
Mrs. Custer, I'm a civilian. You don't give me orders. This money belong to you?
If you took it from Mr. Hendon, I assume that at least part of it is what I gave him. As a loan.
A loan?
Yes.
May I quote you?
What is that?
Part of my report. I may turn it into the Dodge City Globe.
You wouldn't dare.
Yes, I would.
You'd ruin us all, including your friend, Colonel Benteen. You oblige me to tell you that Colonel Reno will be given a court of inquiry. All surviving officers, scouts, and many enlisted men will be called to testify. Don't you realize what the newspapers could do to us? The fact that I loaned money to Hendon would be twisted to make it appear as though I'm trying to influence witnesses.
Aren't you?
That's preposterous. The memory of my husband, his name and reputation are all that matter to me.
Yes. But do you think you should lend money to a man like Mr. Hendon?
What right have you to question my motives?
He's a crook. He tried to blackmail you.
Prove it.
No, I won't even try. Here's your evidence back. No story in the paper. Al, bring Mr. Hendon in here.
Yes, sir.
I told you that I was stubborn and that I'd try to help you in spite of yourself. But all this faith and loyalty you profess just doesn't exist.
Why, you unspeakable.
Calling names won't change my opinion. I have more respect for General Custer than you have.
I'll listen to no more of this.
No, you'd rather spend the rest of your life listening to liars. Well, I know what happened at the Little Bighorn. I wasn't too proud to talk to the Indians about it. Savages in battle, yes, but honest men. Your husband's name is safer with them than it will ever be with men like this. Mr. Hendon, I'm releasing you. You get out of town quick. Mills and Turner will be back tomorrow, and anything that they do to you after that will be an accident. Throw them out.
Come on, move.
Where is this Chief Wolfhead?
At the fort, the hostile stockade.
Will you come with me? We'll leave as soon as my soldier friends get back. Good night, Mr. Earp.
Good night, Mrs. Custer.
They put a chief in here?
It's what the government calls a temporary stockade. The big stockade is a reservation.
2 visitors. Approved by Colonel Benteen.
Let me help you, man. There you go. Chief Wolfhead. Wyatt Earp.
My friend.
Mrs. Custer, may I present Chief Wolfhead?
Widow of Longhair. There is sadness for you in my heart. She was brave to come here. Do not stay long. Many are sick here.
Our government could do better for you than this.
There was fighting. We are prisoners of war. Out of respect for General Custer, what shall I say?
I'll ask some questions. Mrs. Custer, perhaps we can make this bench comfortable.
Longhair and Pony soldiers retreat to hill here. Chief Gall attacked on front and right.
Crazy Horse lead many warriors to strike Long Hair from left. I am told to move Cheyennes uphill from rear. Soon we have General Custer surrounded. We have 10 times more men. We have rifles that shoot quick, 12 times, Winchesters. Soldiers shoot only once, then have to reload. It was not a fair fight.
Did General Custer try to run away?
Run away? He is Long Hair, brave soldier. He stands ground what is no bigger than his shadow. He fight to the last.
A lot of our people blame General Custer for not uniting his command. Some of them say he should have waited for the Terry and Gibbon columns to arrive. Now, what do the Indians think about that talk?
Stupid. There is dust and smoke. How could Long Hair and his scouts count our warriors? We hide most of them in hills until fight commence.
Chief Wolfhead, a lot of our people who weren't there say that if Reno and Benteen had charged straight for the hill, they could have saved General Custer.
No, not enough soldiers. Too many of us.
And what if General Custer had waited for the Terry and Gibbon columns?
My friend, they would all be dead. I feel anger here when white soldiers blame each other.
Any questions, man?
No. It was war. My husband had his victories. It was ordained that he suffer one defeat. I realize that now.
Mrs. Custer, I have my defeat also. The Great Spirit allowed your great husband to follow the guns and trumpets and pass from this world with honor. I am not so honored.
I am sad for you, Chief Wolfhead. This will be changed. You've taken my fear of liars away. I'm deeply grateful. Come, Mr. Erb, we mustn't dawdle.
Yes, sir.
I have to see the commandant about those dreadful conditions in the stockade. Then I leave for Chicago to tell General Sheridan what I've learned from Chief Wolfhead. Thank you.
Let's go.
Ah.
Afternoon, Mr. Hogan.
Oh, Marshal.
How are things?
Oh, real quiet, Marshal. Marshal, I've been meaning to ask you
If you could take over the night shift, Mr. Hogan?
Yes, sir.
Pretty soon, pretty soon.
Is it always so quiet, Marshal?
No, not always, but this is the way I like it. And you will, too, before too long.
Hey, you're about to lose a button there.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you. You know, one of these days, somebody's going to invent a button that won't come off. Any interesting mail?
Usual stuff. Nothing urgent.
Well, you're off duty. And it's a nice Saturday afternoon. Hal and I can handle it. Say, haven't I heard something about you and that pretty young widow? What's her name?
It's only wishful thinking, Marshal. I can't hardly get her to talk to me.
Well, maybe you're using the wrong approach, huh?
Maybe. Well, I'm not alone. Evidently, every other bachelor in Dodge is using the wrong approach, too.
Marshal, this just came in for you.
Well, thank you, Mr. Rankin, but there's no need for such haste.
Read it, Marshal.
All right, but just sit down and rest yourself.
I can't. I gotta get back to the telegraph.
Something bad, Marshal?
Oh, a fellow by the name of Lou Dundee just escaped from a road gang.
The warden says he's positive Dundee's headed for Dodge City. He says he's after you.
Maybe. Mr. Hogan, after you're a lawman for a while, you'll find out you just can't help making enemies.
Well, you put more lawbreakers in jail than the others.
Well, I prefer that to killing them.
Yes, sir. Marshal, this man Dundee, He's...
If he hasn't changed since I sent him to prison and comes here, I'll send him back.
Yes, sir. Afternoon, Marshal.
Afternoon, Mr. Hogan.
Come in, please.
Hello, Marshal.
Good afternoon. I'll be with you in a moment, sir.
Thank you. No hurry. Well, Mr. Hogan, looks like you have the same problem I have. It must be an occupational disease, huh?
There you are, Mr. Hogan. That's the 4th one this week.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Miss Phillips. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Marshal?
Is there something I can help you with, Marshal?
Yes, ma'am, I think there is.
Another button?
I'm afraid so.
I declare, in the short time I've been in Dodge City, I've seen more buttons come loose than I believed was possible.
Well, I think I can understand it, Mrs. Phillips.
Would you take off your coat, please, Mr. Earp?
Hmm? Oh, sure. Sorry. Oh, it's, here it is, right there.
Mm-hmm. This button's been sewn on before, I see.
Yeah, I'm afraid so, and, by an amateur.
You?
Yes, sir. I'm a bachelor, you know.
Yes, I know. Excuse me. My hand seems a bit unsteady today.
Well, maybe you're tired.
Maybe.
There, you got it. Are you planning to make Dodge City your home, Mrs. Phillips?
Well, I haven't decided yet, Mr. Earp. My husband spoke so often about going west.
Well, I can understand how he felt.
I'm sorry Mr. Phillips didn't live to see his dreams come true.
So am I.
Thank you. He was a good, kind man, almost like a father to me. Quite a bit older than I, but a wonderful gentleman. There you are, Marshal.
Thank you very much. That was quick.
Uh-huh. Oh, you have a thread hanging.
Well, that's all right. I can fix it.
Just hold still. There now. That'll stay put for a good long time.
I'm sure it will. Mrs. Phillips, I'd like to...
To pay me for it? Oh, for one little button.
If somebody performs a service, you ought to...
Well, think of it as a favor from one friend to another.
Well, thank you kindly, ma'am.
You're welcome. Of course, if your lady friend should require any dressmaking, you might mention my name.
I'm all alone, Mrs. Phillips.
Oh, I know how you feel. Being all alone, too.
That's kind of an unhappy state. I'd be honored to be allowed to do something about it, Mrs. Phillips.
I'd like to think about that, Mr. Earp.
I'd like you to think about it. Good day, ma'am.
Good day.
Yeah. Howdy, Mr. Burns. How are the children?
Fine, thank you.
You know, it's a nice, quiet day.
Quietest Saturday I've seen in a long while. Say, did your deputy catch up with you yet?
Hell, no one.
He came busting in here 3 or 4 times looking for you.
He did. Well, I'll just sit around here and wait for him. Then say, could I trouble you for a cup of coffee?
No trouble. Sit right down, Marshal.
Thank you.
Wyatt, you know that prisoner that escaped yesterday, Dundee? We got a telegram about him from Wichita. He broke into a store, stole a couple of guns, pistol whipped the livery stable man, and stole a horse.
Identify him as Dundee positively?
Well, the livery stable man's about 80% sure. He may be here right now.
Oh, thank you, Mr. Burns.
Look, Wyatt, I found Hogan. I put him back on duty. I think we ought to put on at least 2 or 3 extra deputies.
Well, just take it easy. You do that, and rumors are going to start flying all over town. This is good coffee.
Please let me put on a couple of extra men, just in case.
All right, if it'll make you feel better.
Oh, it will.
Just keep it very quiet, huh?
I wish you had the good sense to get a little frightened once in a while.
Good evening, Marshal.
Mrs. Phillips, what are you doing out on the street at this hour?
Oh, just getting a breath of air. Is something wrong, Marshal?
Well, do you know what time it is?
Oh, somewhere around midnight. I couldn't sleep. I didn't think I'd disturb anyone. I'm sorry.
Well, I'll walk you home. Where are you staying, over at the Dodge House?
Yes, sir.
Come on.
I said I was sorry. You're still angry with me, aren't you?
Well, I'm trying to be, but it isn't easy.
Haha, good.
I'm sure you haven't got any enemies, but, well, this is still the West, and unfortunately, there are still some bad people.
Are you looking for one now?
Well, you never can tell. Now, why don't you go upstairs and try and get some sleep, huh?
All right. Oh, I thought it over, what you said.
I beg your pardon?
About it not being a good thing, my being alone.
Tonight proves that.
Well, I've decided to let you do something about it, like you asked.
Oh, that's wonderful. If it's all right with you, I'll call on you tomorrow evening.
Well, I was thinking about tomorrow afternoon, right after church. It would be a lovely day for a picnic,
Mrs. Phillips, I think...
My name is Barbara. May I call you Wyatt?
I'd be honored. Now, I think you ought to go inside.
What about the picnic?
Sounds fine.
I'll expect you tomorrow afternoon at 1. Good night, Wyatt.
Good night, ma'am. Barbara. Barbara?
Now, you've all seen this picture. You sure you'll recognize it?
I'm sure.
Pick out a spot in the main road from Wichita. Hole up there where you can't be seen and... Well.
Good morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Did you two get any sleep?
I napped a little.
Oh, I'm not tired, Marshal.
Oh, good. Maybe you'll do a big favor for me, Mr. Hogan.
Oh, I'd be glad to.
I made an appointment with a mutual acquaintance to, accompany her on a picnic today, and I won't be able to make it, and I was wondering if you'd substitute for me.
Oh, well, Marshal, come to think of it, I guess I am kind of tired. I don't think I'd be very good company for Miss Phillips.
Sam?
No, don't look at me, Marshal. I'm married. So's Bob. Look, you go on duty at 4 o'clock. Nothing's going to happen while you're away.
Just to make sure of that, you stay on duty yourself and put on a couple extra deputies. Huh? No, I'll
get it. Hello, Mrs. Phillips, ma'am.
Hello, Mr. Hogan. Is the marshal inside?
Yes, ma'am. I'll get him.
Thank you.
Marshal.
All right.
It's 1 o'clock, Wyatt.
So it is, Barbara. I was just on my way over to see you.
Thought I'd save you the trouble. Lunch is all packed and it's a beautiful day.
Barbara, I'm very sorry, but I'm not going to be able to go with you today.
But you promised.
Well, I know I did, but... Well, something came up and I can't leave town. Maybe next week.
I was looking forward so much to this afternoon.
Oh, don't cry, please.
I beg your pardon, Wyatt, but I think we can take care of any emergencies that might come up while you're away.
Maybe you're right, Hal. Come on. We'll be over in the Grove if you need me.
Right.
See you later. This is wonderful, you know. I don't know when I've had a meal like that.
Well, I had some help from the hotel.
You know, that hotel never made a pie like this.
I'm glad you enjoyed it, Wyatt.
Here, I'll give you a hand.
No, this is a woman's job. Now, I want to know all about Wyatt Earp. Not the Marshal of Dodge City. I can read about him in the papers.
Well, he's the only one I know.
No, he isn't. I want to know where you came from. What kind of a boy you were.
Well, you're kind of curious, aren't you?
I'm interested.
Well, I was born in Monmouth, Illinois. When I was 16, we all moved out to California and settled in San Bernardino. Came by wagon train.
Did you love your parents? Were you close to them?
I loved them very much. We had a good home life. Mom and Dad, my two sisters, Jim, Morgan, Virgil, Newton, those are my brothers. We had just about the right mixture of family discipline and young male independence, I'd say. How about you, Barbara?
Well, what young life I had was wonderful. I didn't have very much, though. Both my parents died before I was 15.
I'm sorry.
My father was a horse trader. I had a pony of my own, and now they're both dead.
You've had a lot of shock for someone so young. Believe me, these things take time, but you get over them. You know something, you're too beautiful to be sad. I know you can smile because I've seen you. It's just about the prettiest sight I ever saw.
Do you really think I'm beautiful?
Very.
Then why don't you hold me?
Barbara.
Stand up. I'm going to kill you. But first I want you to know why. Stand perfectly still and keep your hand away from your gun.
I wouldn't use it on you anyway.
I'm not a widow. I've never been married. My name is not Phillips. It's Clemens. Does that name mean anything to you? You killed my father.
I've known a lot of men by the name of Clements, but I've never killed any of them.
You sent them to prison. That's the same as killing if they're innocent.
I don't decide a man's innocence or guilt. That's up to a judge and jury.
My father's name is Martin Clemens.
I remember him. I caught him in the act of robbing the Wichita bank.
You're lying. The Clemens family had a bad name, so you saw your chance when my father went to Wichita. He was a cattleman. He was in the bank making a deposit, and you wounded him. You sent him to prison for 10 years, and it killed him. An innocent man. He died in less than 4 years.
Miss Clements, I'm going to have to tell you the truth about your father. He was a cattleman in a sense, but he was a rustler too, among other things. He and 4 others were robbing the bank when I saw him. I wounded him, yes, because he was shooting at me. I could have killed him, but I didn't.
You're lying to try to save your life, but it won't work.
I'm telling the truth to try and save my life and to try to keep you from being a murderess.
Nobody will suspect me. I'll say somebody shot you from hiding.
All right. Get it over with.
Turn around.
No. I want to see it when it happens.
Turn around, I said! I can't do it, I can't.
It's all right, miss. There's somebody here who can.
Mr. Dundee, isn't it?
That's right. Move out of the line of fire, miss. Go on!
Put down that gun, Mr. Dundee. You're not a killer.
You're wrong there. I wasn't before you sent me up, but I am now.
Can I talk to you for a minute?
Go ahead. I'd like to hear you begging.
I'm not begging, Mr. Dundee. I just want to tell you a little bit about shooting. Now, in a few seconds, if you don't drop that gun, I'm going to jump. You don't know which way I'm going to go, so you'll probably miss. At least your first shot isn't going to kill me. In the meantime, I'm going to be shooting at you, Mr. Dundee, and I'm not bluffing.
I won't miss. I've waited too many years to miss. For 3 years, 8 months, and 17 days, I've waited for this minute. You're going to have to kill me this time. I ain't never going back to that.
You all right, Miss Clements?
Dundee!
Is he dead?
No. I want to use your horse, Mr. Hogan. Dundee's horse is probably in the bushes someplace. I'd appreciate it if you'd drive Mrs. Phillips back to town. I'll pack the prisoner in.
Sure, Marshal. You and Miss Phillips, you're all right.
Yes, thank you. Here's your gun, Miss Phillips. I'm glad you didn't have to use it.
You mean she tried to... She helped you?
If she hadn't distracted Mr. Dundee, I'd probably be dead by now.
I'm going away. I wanted to tell you. I don't seem to be able to find the words.
Well, it's not necessary to say anything. I think I know what you feel.
I don't know what I feel about you. I don't know whether I hate you or my father. You were telling me the truth. But he was still my father. And I loved him very much.
I know.
Maybe we'll meet again someday, somewhere. And if we do, I hope we both will have forgotten all of this. I mean, I'm sorry.
Well, I've already forgotten it. Most of it. Some things I'd like to remember.
Goodbye. Goodbye, Wyatt.
Goodbye, Barbara. The 1870s on the western frontier were noted for sentimentality. The fable of the woman outlaw flourished. People really believed that Pauline Cushman, Belle Starr, and Calamity Jane were female Robin Hoods, robbing the rich and giving to the poor. Dodge City, Kansas in 1877 had its own heroine. Her name was Lillian Reeve, and folks called her the Kansas Lily. But Marshal Earp could not afford to be sentimental even about woman outlaws. A good peace officer knew that a woman could shoot you just as dead as any drunken cowhand.
Hold on, Mr. Dealer. You've been cheating me. $300, please.
This is an honest game, lady.
Give her back her money.
What's the matter here? What's the trouble, Deucey?
Lady says I cheated her.
Are you Marshal Earp? Well, I'm sorry I'm having to do this, Marshal, but the deal box here is crooked, and Mr. Ducey won't give me the $300 he's been cheating me out of.
That's right, I saw it. Sure.
Fair.
All right.
Thanks. And thank you, Marshal Earp.
I'm not the marshal, ma'am. My name's Bat Masterson.
Oh, Mr. Masterson. Well, I've heard a lot about you, too. I hope you'll overlook my using a gun.
Well, I'll walk along with you, miss.
All right. I paid her.
Oh, police protection won't be needed. I'm just going along to the Dodge Hotel.
Well, I'll tell you, the Alamo's a crybaby place. They're apt to report on you.
To, Marshal Earp?
And you better let me have that Derringer, miss.
My name is Reeve. Lillian Reeve.
You're joshing me.
Well, no, that part of it is true enough.
Does Ducey know who you are?
Well, of course not. The scamp wouldn't have tried to cheat me.
Well, he sure wouldn't. I just can't get over it, you being in Dodge City.
Why, is there a law against it?
No. But Wyatt, Marshal Earp is awful strict these days. But look, if Ducey squawks about that gunplay, I can help you. I can talk to Wyatt.
Well, maybe I had better give you the gun. Then you can say you disarmed me or something. There. I'm trusting you.
Well, thanks, Miss Lily. I'll see you safe to the hotel.
Howdy, Marshal. I've been waiting for you.
Oh, howdy, Mr. Jameson. Something wrong?
Yeah, there's a new gal in town. She accused Ducey of cheating her, pulled a gun, and took $300 from the faro table.
Oh?
The deputy, Bat Masterson, saw the whole thing. He ordered Ducey to pay the gal.
Well, then he must have caught Ducey cheating her. I'll look into it.
Thanks. I want to sign a complaint. We don't want women gambling at the Alamo, and you told me to report any kind of gun carrying.
Yes. Come on, let's go inside.
She's registered at the Dodge Hotel, using the name Lillian Reeve.
Lillian Reeve. Say, isn't that the girl that rides with the Sundowner gang?
The Kansas Lily.
You didn't waste any time getting over here, did you?
Oh, take it easy, Bat.
Cheating Miss Lily, then crybaby into Wyatt. Here, she gave me this.
She a friend of yours?
Yes, I hope so.
Let's just forget that charge, Marshal.
Mr. Jameson, we don't forget charges in this office. Just sign this complaint. Armed robbery.
No matter what Bat says, you'll find I'm telling the truth.
She posing as the Kansas Lily?
She's not posing, she's real. She told me the whole deal. She quit the Sundowners and she's trying to make a new start. And she's a lady, Wyatt.
Why didn't you arrest her?
What for? Ducey took her in a crooked faro game.
Didn't you see her poking this gun at him?
Wyatt, Miss Lily was broke. She acted foolish like any girl might.
You never learn, do you? Now I gotta go arrest her.
Oh, sure. Put the poor girl in jail. And do it on the word of Cap Jameson and Ducey Miller.
Mr. Masterson? Here. You slosh that on your head. You're getting feverish.
Camp here till dark.
I don't know, Gus. You sure Miss Lily headed for Dodge?
Sure, I'm sure. She's probably selling us out to Wyatt Earp right now. And there's only one way I know of stopping any gal from talking too much. Now get some rest. We'll be busy tonight.
One moment.
Miss Lillian Reeve?
Are you Wyatt Earp?
That's right.
Come in. Well, you're a sight handsomer than Mr. Masterson described you.
Oh? How did he describe me?
Mighty fast with your guns. Mighty slow with the ladies.
Miss Reeve, I'm a deacon in my church.
Remind me to tell you about some deacons I've met. Oh, my bag's packed for jail. Shall I carry it?
No, we'll go down to the Alamo Saloon first.
Why don't you just take me to jail?
Mr. Jameson signed a armed robbery complaint. Ducey Miller will have to identify you first.
Well, you're the police in this town, Mr. Earp. You want to go first? I'd like to lock my door.
Now you're denying that Miss Lily took $300 from you?
She had it coming.
How's that?
Give her a bad break on the deal box.
You cheated her, huh?
Yes, sir.
Mr. Jameson.
Yes, I
Look,
know.
you signed an armed robbery complaint.
I was a little hasty, Marshal. No one saw Miss Lily actually threaten him with a gun.
All right.
We didn't see anything.
Miss Lily, you make friends awful fast.
Just a minute, Mr. Earp. I'd like to talk to you.
Outside.
Miss Lily's respected in the South. You cause her any more trouble and we'll move our trade.
We didn't know that she was the Miss Lillian Reeve.
Miss Lily risked her life spying for General Sterling Price during the late war. Gentlemen, I'm buying a drink to Miss Lily. Set him up, bartender.
So why should I lie to you? I came here to make friends as fast as I can. I need friends.
Oh? Sundowners after you?
I'm afraid so. We all scattered after the bank job in Coffeyville went wrong. But I wasn't in on that. I warned them against it.
Go on.
Marshal, I need a stake. If you object to my gambling in saloons, is it all right if I start a game in my suite at the hotel?
There's no law against it, Miss Lily. And I'm sure Mr. Masterson will be your friend.
Howdy, Miss Lily.
All the witnesses changed their stories about Miss Lily. She's free to have dinner with you.
Say, that's great.
If Mr. Earp isn't afraid I'll be a bad influence.
Well, Mr. Masterson's been influenced before. Hope you have a good time.
Mr. Earp doesn't approve of me. Do you approve of me?
More than that, I want to help you. I felt that way when I first met you.
Well, let's not rush things.
Didn't you tell Wyatt the Sundowner hoodlums might be after you?
Yeah, he wasn't interested.
Well, I am.
That's the difference.
Just say not to rush. But things happen fast to a girl like you.
Well, we'll talk about it at dinner. And I'll stay here long enough to run a poker game and get enough money to travel west. But if Gus and the boys blame me for Coffeyville, I'd better light out of here real fast.
You don't have to do that, not with all the Southerners in town.
More gunfighting.
That's one of the good things about Southern boys, Miss Lily. They'll fight. So will I.
No, it's no good, honey. I'm tired of trading on what I did when I was 16 years old back in Missouri. The Yankees caught me. I wasn't a very good spy.
Well, how did you get away from the Federals?
Oh, I didn't. They took me to St. Louis and said they were going to hang me. But old General Halleck, bless him, turned me loose with a safe conduct to the Confederate lines.
Well, the Sundowners aren't going to be that generous.
No. No, I know it. I better run.
I'll go with you.
You're sweet. But I couldn't let you do that. Done.
Down in the bar. I'll have to go.
Serves him right.
Come on now, give me that gun.
I ain't gonna give this gun to nobody.
You're in trouble now. You better give me that gun.
Anybody else want to make a remark about Miss Lily? Speak up, you Kansas bluebellies.
Oklahoma, give me that gun.
Bud Masterson. Good old Texas boy.
Come on, you come over here and sit down now.
Come on. Make it like this.
I didn't see the fight.
This his gun?
Yeah.
What started it?
He started making remarks about Miss Lily Reeves, and Oklahoma called him.
Some of you men take him over to the coroner's office. Jackson, you watch him. I want to talk to you. Telegram. State warrant for Miss Reeve. Associate of outlaws. Detailed information and a letter to follow.
Give us a break.
What for?
I've got her halfway talked into leaving town with me. She's not really a bad person. I might even marry her someday.
Well, that's your business, Mr. Masterson. Now, where is she?
Upstairs.
You take Oklahoma over to jail.
Hey, Lily, what about Miss Lily?
We'll be upstairs talking when you come back.
114.
Don't be a fool, Gus. Blasting your way through Earp and his deputies in that night.
We'll blast nobody. We'll mosey in while the town's asleep and grab Lily. And what we gotta do, we'll do on the trail. That way we'll have no witnesses yapping their heads off. Now, you got any more arguments?
Well, no, I'm not arguing with you.
All right. Let's ride to Dodge.
Oh, why go on talking, Mr. Ert? You've got the warrant. Put me in jail.
It's not that simple. You know a warrant won't hold you long?
Really asking me not to make use of Mr. Masterson, isn't that it?
That's part of it. He's a fool for women. Not just one woman, but all women. He can't help that, and he can't help you.
What's your great interest in this, Mr. Earp? Are you your, brother's keeper?
Mr. Masterson is a good friend of mine. Now, look, you're always going to have men wanting to help you. You're pretty. You're colorful.
Do you think so?
Yes, I think so. I don't really think your sundowner friends are going to do you any harm.
They're scared.
And you're clever. I'm sure you've won a few hearts in that gang.
I hated those men. I've always hated them. Why do you think I turned into the spy for a South? Patriotism? I wanted to show men I could be just as brave, just as tough, and just as mean as they are. The sundowners, stupid, filthy hoodlums. I joined him to persuade my brother to quit. He was in too deep to quit.
Where's your brother now?
The Pinkerton man killed him after a Santa Fe holdup.
I'm sorry.
I don't want your sympathy. Just take me to jail.
Drinking isn't going to help.
I want to drink. And then you can haul me off to jail, yelling and screaming. The Kansas Lily.
You're not helping yourself.
Well, then maybe you could help me. Maybe Mr. Masterson is not my type. How about your helping me out of trouble?
Well, you're mighty tempting, Miss Lily. but I'm going to have to decline with thanks.
Excuse me.
Come on in, Mr. Masterson. Join the conference. It's partly about you.
I'm afraid you're wasting your time, Miss Lily. Wyatt's a John Law through and through.
Yes, I'm finding that out.
Miss Lily is afraid. She thinks her sundowner friends might come into Dodge City and do her bodily harm. We can't hold her in jail. We haven't got accommodations for women. But we can give her protection right here.
You give her protection. She'd like it.
Look, Mr. Masterson, Miss Lily isn't romantic about either of us. She's afraid for her life. You understand that?
Yes, sir.
You go get Hal. You post him out back. I'll watch the front of the hotel. Then you come back. You'll stay here with Miss Lily. Now, go on.
Yes, sir.
Hiya, Mr. Driscoll. Just getting town?
Yeah.
How long you going to be with us?
Oh, I'm not checking in, Sam. Just passing through. My cousin, Miss Lillian Reeves, she staying here in the house?
Yes. She's in 114. Shall I send word up to have her come
Hi,
back?
Mr. Masterson.
Oh, hi, Pat.
Is Mr. Earp upstairs?
I don't think so. He's not in his room. Might try the office.
Thanks. Can I buy you a drink?
No, thanks.
Masterson just came downstairs. Wouldn't say where Earp is.
Think Earp knows and has arrested her already?
No, I don't think so. The pickup order for her won't get here till Lamar's stage pulls in.
Poor Miss Lily. What kind of new trouble is she in now?
That same old tie-up with those sundowners.
It ain't fair to hound her like that all the time. She's been a victim of circumstances ever since that spy thing.
I know. That's why I'm here. You sneak upstairs, Tex. See what you can find out. She's in room 114.
Right.
Want to rent an extra horse. Feed and water these and take the money out of this. Now, don't unsaddle them because we'll be back in about an hour. Got it? I don't want any slips. Tim, you take the jail, and Nate and I'll mosey around the hotels. Right? Let's go.
What'd you find out?
Earp is holding her in custody.
Just as I thought. I'll tell you what we're gonna do. Earp knows me, and I don't think he'll figure in any rough stuff. Now, you two keep out of sight, and I'll get up there and...
Tell me something about the Sundowner gang.
Oh, I don't want to talk about them. They've gotten me into enough trouble.
Who escaped from the Coffeyville job?
Gus Loring. He might have Tim Patton and Jerry Drew with him.
Just 3 men?
Well, perhaps 2 more. They were down to 7 regulars when the bank job fizzled.
Well, why would Gus Loring be angry enough with you to...
To want to kill me? Well, first, he asked me to marry him. I wasn't very polite about saying no. And second, I think he's afraid I'll be picked up, and I'll inform on him to save myself.
Would you?
Yes, I would.
Who is it?
Patty Driscoll, Wyatt.
Excuse me.
Excuse me for bothering you, Wyatt, but I got paid this $100 bill in a gambling game, and I think it's counterfeit. Would you mind? Good going, Lily. Get ready to travel. Come on, boys.
Tie him up. Where'd you come from, Pat?
There's an arrest order for you in the mail. Earp will get it tomorrow.
Earp got a telegram. I'm already arrested. Be with you as soon as I change my clothes.
Got horses back in the hotel. Hurry.
And you'd better tell the truth, or we'll shoot you right here. Right now.
3 Texas men. They just went upstairs. And that's all I know.
Which room's she in?
114 and 115.
Let's just wait here. They'll be down. This is easier. We'll trap ourselves on the 2nd floor.
Hurry up, Lily. Hurry up.
There's a fire escape ladder at the end of the hall.
And the stairs will be quicker.
We'll take the stairs.
Give me a key to that bar door. Move!
Left him.
Stand right where you are.
Get on out of here.
Hurry up. I'll cover him.
Get on.
All right. Hey! Put your gun in the desk. Hurry up. Come on. All right, get back there. You too, mister.
There's a couple of men wounded in the chair over there.
Take care of these women. All right.
Where's Marshal Earp?
He didn't even come downstairs.
Somebody
It's
call Dr.
114.
McCarthy. Who's he?
Oh,
Call Dr.
somebody
McCarthy.
get Doc McCarthy.
What?
What was the shooting? A couple of men grabbed Miss Lily and rode out of town with her. Driscoll and that Texan are down in the lobby wounded. We got one of them.
Hal, go get some horses.
Right. Go ahead.
Tex is bad hurt.
The other two got away.
Marshal, here's the other one over here.
Which way they headed? Which way they headed?
They're gonna wait for me near the old stage stop.
You put him in jail. Rest of you get those wounded men over to the dock. You get the boys. Follow me out the river road.
Hold it. This is as good a place as any.
I never was in favor of you dying, Miss Lily.
It's Marshal Earp. Get going, Tim.
What about Nate?
Never mind Nate. Run for it. I'll cover you.
Hold your fire!
You put down that gun. You're still under arrest.
Miss Reeve, you are charged with being an associate of outlaws, with attacking an officer, and with attempting to escape legal custody. How do you plead?
Guilty, Your Honor.
Haven't you anything to say in defense of your behavior?
No, sir.
Get the court, please.
Yes, Marshal Earp.
It's true that Miss Lily whacked me over the head, but she was hysterical from fear. It's also true she tried to escape with Mr. Driscoll and his men, but... Well, sir, technically speaking, she was abducted by the Sundowner gang.
Good points, all.
I'm bound to say further that she's learned her lesson about hoodlums. And, sir, I recommend that she be sentenced to 1 year in jail, but that she be paroled from the bench.
Is there anyone here willing to accept parole responsibility for this young lady?
Judge Tobin, sir?
Yes, Mr. Driscoll?
Our son was wounded trying to help Miss Lily. She's a cousin of the Driscolls, and we'd be mighty proud to accept her parole, sir.
Is that acceptable to you, Marshal Earp?
It's a fine gesture, sir.
The prisoner is paroled to Mr. and Mrs. Driscoll. The three of you will appear here in this court tomorrow morning at 10 o'clock for parole instructions.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Next case will be J.A. Donnelly versus the state of Kansas.
I can't figure out what I saw in her.
You saw the Kansas Lily. A lot of men will see her in their dreams. Now, Mr. Masterson, someday when you're an old codger, you'll read a wild newspaper yarn about Miss Lily, and you'll believe every word of it. The principal recreations of Dodge City in 1877 were doubtful women, strong drink, and day and night gambling. Dodge was a frontier cow town, and it had passed laws against crime, but not against sin. On the other hand, respectable citizens expected Marshal Wyatt Earp to keep both sin and crime away from the right side of the Santa Fe tracks. What is now known as the Battle of the Long Branch Saloon was a typical example of frontier hypocrisy. It threatened Wyatt's reputation and his job.
Get out of here. I'm not selling out. Nobody's going to run me out.
You've had your notice, Luke.
We made you a fair offer. Now you get nothing.
What's the matter, Mr. Short?
They've been threatening me, Marshal. They say they ain't on, but I doubt it.
Just a private business argument, Marshal.
Yeah, no concern of yours.
Lift them. See if they got any guns, Hal.
What are you taking up for Luke Short, Marshal? You got an interest in the Long Branch?
No, sir.
The graph's clean. I'll have to look
Get
at
away from me.
Come here. Derringer. You can come to my office and pick up that gun tomorrow, sir. I'll go on back to your saloon. Al, go see if you can find Sheriff Masterson.
Right.
Let's go inside.
And then Cockrell and DeGraff try to buy me out. I figured their place below the line wasn't doing too well, but they offered me peanuts for the Long Branch. Wyatt, maybe this is just another plain old-fashioned route, huh?
It looks like it. You know, I'm the one that talked you into buying this place from Doc Holliday.
Oh, I'm not blaming you for that, Wyatt. That price was right, and I've been making money.
Well, just the same, I feel responsible. I'm going to ask Judge Tobin for a restraining order against Mr. Cockrell and Mr. DeGraff.
Restraining order? What's that?
Well, that puts them on legal notice not to interfere with you or your place of business.
Puts them on legal notice? Why'd you know a gambler can't run to the court for help?
Well, you don't understand. I want to help you myself, but well, I can't mount guard on a saloon. A restraining order gives me legal authority in case they try to roust your place. Otherwise, they can just send hoodlums in here, they can tear up your place, and all they got to do is pay a small fine for disorderly conduct. No, sir. A court injunction is the new way to do things, Mr. Short.
Well, thanks just the same.
Too modern for you?
I'm old-fashioned.
Bad.
Hi, Al.
Wyatt wants to see you.
I was afraid of that.
You heard about the trouble Luke Short's been having, huh?
I came to help him. Luke and I are old pals. He saved my scalp once.
Yeah, I know, but you're the sheriff. You can't...
Oh, up now. You don't see any star, do you? I was the sheriff. I resigned.
All right. You see Wyatt before you get in any gunfights.
Sure, sure. You tell him I'll be around.
And I just don't understand Wyatt. This idea of asking a judge to make Cockrell and DeGraff behave. Is Wyatt gone a mite loco?
No, he just hates trouble, Luke.
But Al and Jim would just laugh at a court order.
Sure. But Wyatt's got the town quieted down, and he wants to keep it that way. Deacon Earp, they call him. Uh-oh.
Everybody out. We're gonna take this place apart.
Drop those guns!
We'll drop you.
Then you quit a good job. Then you get mixed up in a stupid saloon brawl. I'd hoped you'd grown up. But you're a spoiled brat.
This was mostly your fault, you know.
My fault, huh?
Sure, you helped Doc Holliday sell that place to Luke. The other saloon owners didn't bother Doc. They were afraid of him.
No.
Now, let me finish, will you? They were afraid to roust Doc Holliday, but they're not scared of Luke. Luke was a pretty fair hand with a gun, but he's not in our class, and you knew that.
You finished?
Yes, sir.
Did Mr. Short give you an interest in the Long Branch?
No, sir, he sold me 10%.
He sold you 10%.
That's right.
All right. Here's an application for a restraining order. I want you to sign it, and then I want you to get Luke to sign it.
This makes all of us promise to keep the peace.
That's right.
Wyatt, you don't believe that Cockrell and DeGraff are going to lay off the Long Branch after we just shot up a few of their rousters?
If they don't, they'll get 6 months to a year in jail. Contempt of court. Judge Tobin will throw the book at him.
I don't know. It puts me in a funny spot.
You put yourself in a funny spot. Why did you resign? Why'd you quit? Never mind. Don't answer that. You and I, we've worked long and hard to get this town calmed down. We've got an honest judge now. The time has come to make use of court orders like that one.
All right. All right, I'll sign it. I'll try to get Luke to sign it. And I just want to get you into trouble.
Marshal's office sent us a paper. Hal served it on me. Legal summons. James Cockrell and Al DeGraff will appear before Circuit Judge Tobin at 9 a.m. tomorrow to show cause why a restraining order should not be issued against them. The order will bind all parties to the dispute at the Long Branch Saloon to keep the peace. One of Earp's cute tricks.
Yeah. If Earp hasn't got an interest in that saloon, then his pal Bat Masterson has.
No. You'll tell Tobin a thing or two about Deacon Earp. And now, Your Honor, I've got something to tell you that perhaps you don't know. Bat Masterson is a partner in the Long Branch Saloon. And I suspect that Marshal Earp also has an interest in the business.
Oh, see here. That's a liar.
Order! Order! Proceed, Mr. Cockrell.
Al DeGraff and I weren't involved in that ruckus yesterday. So why is Marshal Earp asking for a restraining order against us?
Your Honor, isn't it obvious?
Not now, Mr. Masterson. Mayor Kelly and I wish to question Marshal Earp in chambers. Court's recessed for half an hour.
And all I'm trying to do is to stop another fight at the Long Branch. Now, Mr. Masterson and Mr. Short have proven their good faith by applying for an injunction. I don't see where Bat's having an interest in the place or the fact that he and I are friends should enter into the case.
It'll make you look bad with the public, Wyatt.
Yes, it will. You'll appear to be taking sides in a brawl between saloon keepers.
Well, I can't be a hypocrite, Judge.
What?
Look, Mayor Kelly used to own a saloon. It's a legal business in this town.
But you advised me to quit, and I did.
Sure, Mr. Kelly, and I'm not defending the saloon business now. But there's no law against it. Why, our town is largely supported by taxes from liquor.
You're our marshal, Wyatt. For your sake, I can't grant the injunction.
You'll thank Judge Tobin when you've had time to think about this.
Application denied.
All right, gentlemen. I'll just have to try and keep the peace my own way.
We're gonna need some more guns, Luke. Charlie Bassett and Neil Brown will help. I'll send for them.
No, 2 of those hoodlums died. I favor waiting to see if Wyatt can handle it his way.
Yeah, but Tobin and Kelly let him down.
Maybe he was right. Maybe shooting your way out of arguments is an old fogey notion.
Another roust. Come on.
No, wait. Give Wyatt a chance.
Let's take it apart, boys. That's what we're here for.
There's 6 of them in there. Wyatt'll need help.
Too late now.
Left him. Well, only about $500 damage, Luke.
Al, let's go see Mr. Cockrell and DeGraff. You stay here. We'll handle this.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. You handle it.
You boys know how local politics are in a town like this?
Yeah, Jim's right, boys. You gotta remember that most of our business is located...
Mr. Cockrell, it's about time you and I had a nice little heart-to-heart talk.
Bring Mr. DeGraff. I want him to hear it, too. I can't prove you hired those cowhands, but I don't have to. I want $500 for the damages you did. I'll go get it.
You turn into plain robbery, Earp?
Jim don't mean that. I'll get it for you.
I told you to get it.
What if I don't?
Mr. Cockrell doesn't appreciate the fact that I'm trying to save his life. Al, you go up the street and tell Mr. Masterson and Mr. Short to arm themselves.
Don't be a fool. They'll shoot us down, and then he'll say it was a fair fight.
And it will be. You'll be wearing guns when I shove you out that door.
Wait, Hal. 500 did the marshal say?
Go get it. Now, one more rouse to the Long Branch, and I'm going to close your saloon and every saloon below the line. You pass the word, Mr. Cockrell.
You think he'd dare close everything below the line?
That's just what I want him to do. We'll pass the word all right. The next roust will be a real one.
They paid damages, $500.
Well, that's the fastest civil suit I ever heard of. But thanks.
You know, I think every saloon owner below the line is in on this. Mr. Short, I hope the 500 is enough to pay for the damages.
It's good of you, Marshal. That's not going to get them off our backs.
No, sir, I'm afraid not.
Luke's tired of fighting.
You tired?
No. But I don't want to get you in too deep.
You know, Mr. Masterson, I made another mistake. This isn't just a brawl between saloon keepers. There's a right and wrong in the liquor business. And Dodge City's going to have to face the issue. You know what Mr. Kelly and the judge tried to pull on me today? They said that everything that happens below the line is sin and that we shouldn't bother to get our nice, clean coats spotted.
The hypocrites.
Yeah. That's why I hope you and Mr. Short will hang on.
We will. What about the next roust?
Well, I told Mr. Cockrell and Mr. DeGraff that one more roust and I was going to close every saloon below the line. Now, if they jump your place again, don't do any fighting. You leave that to me and the deputies.
Another hullabaloo at the Long Branch. What is this now, Wyatt?
Well, I'm fighting for sin, according to you, Mr. Kelly.
And a fine spectacle it is, too. Jim Cockrell told me that you took 500 from him for damages. And he claims he doesn't even know who made the disturbance.
Well, he's a liar. I'm going to close every saloon in this town the next time there's a roust at the Long Branch.
Wyatt, you can't do that.
Why?
Why, they'd sue the city. They'd drag the whole nasty business into open court.
Well, that's where I think it belongs.
Girls, gambling, liquor? You must be daft.
Mr. Kelly, when I took the job in this town, man's life wasn't safe on Front Street.
True. You got crime well in hand. Judge Tobin and I appreciate it.
No, you don't. I asked the court authority to restrain some liquor peddlers from using violence to force a rival saloon out of business.
But we told you, for your own good name.
My name isn't that good. I'm a sinner, and so are you. And so is Judge Tobin. When things get too sinful below the line, sin busts loose all over this town. You and the judge just close your eyes to it.
We're not preachers.
Neither am I. I can't reform Dodge City.
But you're threatening to drag sin into public court.
If that's the only way I can keep sin from turning into crime, yes.
No. I'm warning you.
There's a crowd moving toward the Long Branch. Ted and Louie are on the way over there now. Masterson said he promised you not to fight. We could sure use him.
Let's get over there. Well, Mr. Mayor, keep your eyes closed real tight. Us sinners are going to have ourselves a little old shanty go.
Grab a gun, Bat. You and Luke both.
They're half drunk and mean.
We promised Wyatt not to fight.
Well, we could run out the back door.
No.
Hey, it is hurry. Piece by piece. You get the back door.
A lot of good rough boys, Jim.
Yeah. I told them to take the Long Branch apart board by board.
All right. Outside.
Outside?
That's right. That's your mob out there, and you're going to leave them. Hands waist high. Let's go.
Whatever you do, don't break up the liquor. We'll drink that. Come on now.
Wyatt's with them. They're starting up the street.
Oh, what's the matter, gentlemen? What are you hanging back for? These are the men that hired you to rouse the Long Branch. They'll lead you.
Easy, men. Earp will shoot us.
I know, Mr. DeGraff, why I wouldn't shoot you. Hell. Now, we're just gonna stand over here and just kind of watch all of the fun. What's the matter, Mr. Cockrell? You're a natural-born leader of men. All you gotta do is raise your hand, just say, follow me.
Take that big-headed John Law first. Well, go on, take him.
Go on, fellas, start shooting. Well, we won't hit your bosses. Who ever heard of men like your bosses getting hurt?
You scared of 2 men? Cut them down!
You start it.
Yeah. I'm not scared of Wyatt Earp.
Well, go ahead and draw. I'll wait.
You want to die for them? One of you could get me before Wyatt gets you. No takers? They'll fight to the last drop of your blood.
Not our blood. Let us take your gun, Joe.
Al, get a wagon loaded with 1x6s. We're closing the saloons. Right.
Wyatt. You gonna close us too?
That's right, Mr. Masterson. Every saloon in town.
The bunt line special. It was the longest, fastest shooting iron ever to fight for the law. The bunt line special. It never missed or lost a battle and never was beat on the draw.
Marshal Earp? Judge Tobin wants you in court at once.
For what?
Read the summons. I might add, in behalf of my client, Mr. Cockrell, malfeasance in office is too mild a charge.
See you in court, Earp.
And I submit, Your Honor, the plaintiff has shown conclusive evidence why Marshal Earp should immediately be removed from office. We ask further that his illegal action in closing the city saloons be declared null and void.
Order! Order!
Marshal Earp, you've heard the charges against you. Have you anything to say?
Order!
Proceed, Mr. Earp.
Your Honor, I have plenty to say, but I ask the courtroom be cleared.
On what grounds?
I'm going to have to talk about sin in Dodge City. I'm going to name names and cite facts that I don't think should become public property.
If the court please.
Esmer Kelly.
I agree with Wyatt, Marshal Earp. His testimony should be given in private.
Mr. Dunbar, do you agree that the courtroom be cleared?
I see no reason for it, Your Honor. The point at issue is not the alleged sinfulness of Dodge City, but whether Marshal Earp abused the powers of his office.
Mr. Dunbar, your wife is in the courtroom.
My wife? Well, this is outrageous, Your Honor. I have nothing to hide. Let Mr. Earp confine his testimony to the points at issue in this case.
Your Honor, I believe the court must rule.
You will proceed with your testimony.
Mr. Dunbar owns a quarter interest in the Alamo Saloon. He's also a partner with Miss Josie Debers in the Dreamland Dance Hall.
That's a lie. I object, Your Honor.
Order! Counsel will conduct himself properly. This court fails to see how Mr. Dunbar's business ventures are relevant to the charges against you.
Your Honor, malfeasance in office is a felony, a crime. Now, in order to show that I acted within police powers, I intend to prove criminal conspiracy between certain saloon owners and their silent partners to destroy the business of the Long Branch. I have here a list of certain prominent Dodge City men who were silent partners in saloons, dance halls, and disreputable resorts.
Order! Court, please.
Order!
Your Honor, please.
Yes, Mayor Kelly.
Wyatt's telling the absolute truth. If you permit this case to continue, I'll have to testify to what I know about my fellow citizens, including Miles Dunbar.
I've had enough of this, Your Honor.
Mr. Dunbar?
My clients have deceived me. I withdraw from the case.
Very well. On the basis of Marshal Earp's statement, this court is bound to conclude that the public interest cannot be served by further washing of our dirty linen. The charges against Marshal Earp are dismissed, and the saloons will remain closed until, in his judgment, improved conditions warrant their reopening. Court is adjourned.
Now, gentlemen, men like Mr. Cockrell and Mr. DeGraff don't belong in the saloon business. I want you saloon keepers and gambling house owners to get rid of them. You proved to me that you made up your minds to break with the past, and I'll let you open for business.
That's fair enough with me.
That's a deal, Marshal. We'll get rid of them.
Let's take
Let's
on.
go.
See you
Come on,
gentlemen
Stella.
later.
Put them on their horses and let's go, boy.
Looks like the trouble's over, Luke.
You sure you want to sell your interest?
Cash. Pay me.
You've been a real friend, Bat.
That makes us even. I'll see you around. I'm out of the saloon business.
Good. You can take your profit and buy into a dance hall.
Oh, you give this to the school.
Good. Wait a minute. Now, there's something about it, Deputy Starr. Don't get rich if you're honest, and they bury you if you're slow. But a pot metal star, you can keep that clean.
Yes, sir.
Well, he cleaned up the country, the old Wild West country. He made law and order prevail. And none can deny it, the legend of Wyatt forever will live on the trail.
Oh, Wyatt Earp, Wyatt Earp, brave, courageous, and bold. Long live his fame, and long live his glory, and long may his story be told.